Good morning, my dear students of class 11 science. Welcome to biology class. So today we'll begin with a new chapter, mineral nutrition in plants. Okay, so what do you mean by nutrients and nutrition? So all of us, we are aware that for the growth and development of an organism we need nutrients. Okay, because nutrients will provide the nourishment for the proper growth and development of a living organism. Clear? So what are nutrients and the nutritions? Said that the chemical substances that provide new nourishment to the living organisms are called the nutrients, right? So all of us, we know this definition of nutrients because they are essential for the proper growth and development of a living organism. And what does nutrition means? Nutrition is the process involving the absorption of various minerals by the living beings for the growth and development. So the process by which the nutrients will be absorbed by the body for the growth, for the development is known as nutrition. So what are nutrients and what is nutrition? So nutrients means the chemical substances that provides nourishment to the living organisms, and nutrition is the process by which those nutrients will be absorbed by the body and will be utilized for the growth and development of a living organism. Okay, that is the proper definition of nutrients and nutrition. Clear? Okay. Now next one. It said that the basic needs of all the living organisms are the same. Because we require carbohydrate, we require protein, we require fat for our growth and development. And they also require water and minerals for the growth and development. That is true. Okay. So inorganic elements which the plant obtains from the soil occur in the form of minerals. So the plant obtained the inorganic elements from the soil and they usually occur in the form of minerals. Clear? And the absorption, distribution and metabolism of mineral elements by the plant is called mineral nutrition. So minerals are being absorbed by the plant from the soil by the help of the root, and those minerals will be absorbed and will be distributed through the plant body, which will be utilized for the metabolism, for the growth and development, and that is called mineral nutrition. Clear? Okay. Now next one, we'll go through the syllabus only. So next one is hydroponics. What do you mean by hydroponics? It's in the page number 12.3. Okay, so what do you mean by hydroponics? Generally, when we used to grow the plants, we used to grow in the soil, because mainly from the soil the plant used to get the essential minerals, or we can say the essential elements for the growth and development. But hydroponics is such a technique where we used to grow the plant in a nutrient solution, that is soilless. Okay, we don't grow the plant in a soil, but here we are growing the plant in a nutrient solution. So the technique of growing plants in a nutrient solution is called hydroponics. Okay, so if the question comes, what do you know hydroponics? Then the answer will be the technique of growing plants in a nutrient solution is called hydroponics. Okay, it's a soilless culture. So here we are not growing the plant in a soil, but rather we are growing the plant in a particular solutions or in a culture medium that contain the nutrient solution, okay, which contains all the essential minerals and the elements which are essential for the growth of the plant. And this technique is mainly used for the commercial purpose and was developed by Gehrig in 1940. So remember this thing. Okay, so hydroponics is the technique of growing plant in a nutrient solutions. Now let's see how can we mainly grow the plant in hydroponics or in a nutrient solution. So you can see over here the figure number 12.3 also. So in hydroponic plant production, plants are grown in a tube. So you can see the tube over here. Okay, so the plants are grown in a tube and it is kept on an inclined platform. Then what we require? We require a pump, because the pump will circulate the nutrient solution from the reservoir to the elevated end of the tube. Okay, so a pump circulates nutrient solution from the reservoir to the elevated end of the tube. So here is the reservoir also, which contains the nutrient solution, and this pump is utilized to deliver or to supply the nutrient solution from the reservoir to the tube that contains the plant. So here these are the tubes, okay, which become inclined positions, and we have got the reservoir, and this reservoir contains the nutrient solution, and we have got the pump, and this pump is mainly used to circulate the nutrient solution from the reservoir to the elevated point of the tube. Okay, so the pumped solution flows down the tube and return back to the reservoir. So from here, from the reservoir, the pump will circulate the nutrient solution to the tube, and from this tube again the solution comes back to the reservoir. So you can see over here that the nutrient solution is being circulated towards the tube, and from the tube again the nutrient solutions come back to the reservoir. Okay, so by this way the roots of the plants will be continuously bathed by the nutrient solution. Clear? So what is the advantage and disadvantage of hydroponics? So hydroponics advantage is that it conserves water, because here we are using the nutrient solutions, and that solution is again coming back to the reservoir from where it is being circulated. Okay, so it is useful in those areas with thin, infertile and dry soils. Number 2, it is used for raising seasonal commercial crops. It is useful for the kitchen garden purpose also. It can provide a crop with optimum nutrients at optimum pH. So we can provide a suitable pH and nutrient to the crop. It lacks problems like weeding and soil-borne pathogens. Okay, and it gives maximum yield and maximum production. But there are certain disadvantages of hydroponics also. Number 1, it requires technical expertise. That means the one who is going to do or grow the plant with hydroponics must be a technically experienced one. Okay, so it requires technical expertise. The cost of infrastructure is very high, and chemical used in preparation of nutrient solution often contain toxic impurities. So these are the disadvantage of hydroponics, or the growing plants in a nutrient solution or in a soilless culture. Clear? Next one, essential mineral elements. So we said that mostly the plant is to absorb the nutrients from the soil by the help of the roots. So more than 60 elements of the 105 discovered so far are found in different plants. Okay, but out of this only 17 are essential, which is used for the plant development and growth, and the rest are non-essential. So what do you mean by essential elements and non-essential elements? We'll discuss afterwards. Okay, there are certain criteria for the elements to come under the essential category. Okay, so that we'll discuss afterwards. So out of the 105 elements discovered, or 60 elements which are discovered, of the 105, 17 of them are essential and the rest are non-essential. Clear? And what are the criteria for the essentiality of the elements? Okay, so that they can fall under the essential elements category. Number 1 is said that the element must be absolutely necessary for supporting normal growth of the plant and its reproduction. So whatever the element that we are going to use, or we have discovered, that element must have specific functions, or the main functions for the growth and development of a plant, and it must also help in its reproduction. These are the criteria. Number 2, it is incorporated inside the plant as a structural component or as a functional group. So it has to be one of the most important component or one of the most important functional group of a plant. The requirement of the element must be specific or must be particular. Okay, and the functions or the specificity of that element should not be replaced by any other element. The element must play a direct role in the metabolism of the plant. So it must have a role in the metabolism of the plant. Reduced availability of such elements causes disorders called deficiency symptoms. So when those elements will be in lesser amount in the plant, then it must cause deficiency symptoms or a disease in the plants. So these are the certain criteria which are developed by Arnold and Stott in the year 1939 for the element to fall under essential category. Okay, so those elements, if they fulfill all these criteria, then they are called essential elements. Or if the elements will fail to satisfy or will fail to meet the needs of this criteria, then it will called as non-essential elements. Clear? So those elements will fill up this criteria, they are called essential elements, and those will not fill up this criteria, then they will be known as non-essential elements. Alright, okay. Now next one, let's see macronutrients and the micronutrients. So because we have learned that we have got essential elements and the non-essential elements. So on the basis of the average concentration in plants, Hochland divided essential elements into macronutrients and the micronutrients. So here the essential elements has been divided into macronutrients and the micronutrients on the basis of their average concentration in plants, and it is given by Hochland. Okay, so macronutrients are generally required in larger amount by the plant, whereas micronutrients are required in very small amount by the plant. Simply careful, macro means bigger. Okay, so they are generally required by a plant in larger amount as compared to the micronutrients, which are required in very small amount by the plants. Next, you can say that the macronutrients, table number 12.3, okay, their concentration per gram of dry material varies from 1 to 10 mg, whereas micronutrients, their concentration is less than 1 mg per gram of the dry material. So here you can see the differences. Okay, next one is that the macronutrients, some of the macronutrients contribute in the development of osmotic potential in the cells, whereas the micronutrients do not play any role in the osmotic potential in the cells. Macronutrients, activations of enzyme is their secondary role. So activation of the enzyme is one of the important role of macronutrients, whereas the activation of the enzyme is the primary role of micronutrients. Macronutrients, they are not toxic in slightly excessive quantity, whereas they show toxic effects even in slight excess. That is, micronutrients will show the toxic effects even in slight excess. Okay, so these are the differences between the macronutrients and the micronutrients. And some of the macronutrients are carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus, calcium, potassium, magnesium. And micronutrients are iron, manganese, boron, copper, zinc, molybdenum, chlorine and nickel. So kindly go with the table number 12.2 and the table number 12.3. Okay, now next thing we'll discuss about the essential elements on the basis of diverse functions. Okay, so we'll see the essential elements which can be grouped into 4 broad categories on the basis of the diverse functions. Now what are those 4 broad categories? Number 1 is components of biomolecules. Based on that, number 2, components of energy related chemical compound in the plants. Number 3 will be our essential elements that activate or inhibit enzyme, and number 4 will be our osmotic potential of a cell. So let's see the 4 broad categories which has been classified on the basis of the diverse function of the essential elements. So first one was components of biomolecules, because these are the essential elements which will form the structural elements of the cell. So they are carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and nitrogen. So they are the structural components of the cell. So they come under the components of biomolecule. Then second one is the components of energy related chemical compound in plants. So mainly in the form of ATP, like we'll see phosphorus in ATP and magnesium in chlorophyll. Okay. Then number 3, we have got essential elements that activates or inhibit the enzyme. Inhibit means that will stop the functioning of enzyme, or it will either activate the enzyme or will either inhibit or will stop the function of enzyme. So we have got magnesium ion, which is an activator for both ribulose biphosphate carboxylase oxygenase enzyme and phosphoenol pyruvate carboxylase enzyme. Okay, so here both of the enzyme will be activated in the presence of magnesium ion. So both of them are critically active enzyme which are very important in the process of photosynthesis, carbon fixation process. Clear? Then number 2, we have got zinc ion, which is an activator of alcohol dehydrogenase enzyme during the nitrogen metabolism process. Number C enzyme, or elements like iron and copper act as cofactor in various enzyme reaction of plant metabolism. So these are the essential elements which are essential for the activation of the enzyme or to inhibit the function of the enzyme. And the 4th category is the osmotic potential of these cells. So here the essential elements are like potassium, which alter the osmotic potential of cells, because potassium plays an important role in the opening and closing of the stomata. Okay, so these are the 4 broad categories which has been divided according to the diverse functioning of the essential elements. Clear? Now next one we'll talk about the mineral and non-mineral elements. We'll go through definitions. Okay, so said that all the elements which enter the plant derive from the soil, air and water. So they are all derived from the soil, they are derived from the air or from the water. So essential elements derived from the soil are termed as mineral elements. So what do you mean mineral elements? Mineral elements are those essential elements which are derived from the soil. and essential elements which are derived from the air and water, they are called non-mineral elements. So are you getting it? So mineral elements means those essential elements which are derived from the soil, and non-mineral elements means those essential elements which are derived from the air and water. Okay, so look at examples. Like mineral elements, we have got potassium, okay, we have got phosphorus, silicon, magnesium, calcium, iron, zinc, manganese, boron, copper, molybdenum, chlorine, and nitrogens. Okay, then if you look at the non-mineral elements, we have got carbon, we have got hydrogen, and we have got oxygen. So there are the few examples of mineral elements and the non-mineral elements. Clear? Okay, now we will see the most important part of this chapter, that is role of macro and micronutrients. It is in the page number 12.6. okay, page number 12.6, the role of macro and micronutrients. Then under this particular topic you have to go with the table number 12.4. it's in the page number 12.9. okay, because you have to go through the table number 12.4 to see the essential or to see the importance of the elements. Clear? So kindly go through the page number 12.9, there you will get the table number 12.4. you have to go through it. Clear? So let's discuss about the role of macro and micronutrients, because essential elements are very, very important for the growth and development of a plant, and in case in their lesser concentration in the plant, all right, or in their small volume in the plant will suffer from different types of disorders. Clear? Which also called deficiency symptoms, that we are going to discuss. So essential elements perform several functions. They take part in various metabolic processes in plants, like they used to maintain osmotic concentration of a cell. Okay, they used to maintain the permeability of the cell membrane. They help in ETC, electron transfer system. They help in buffering action, enzymatic activity. Okay, so those roles, their sources, their quantity, functions, and the deficiency symptoms we are going to discuss now. So first one, we'll talk about the role and deficiency symptoms or the hunger signs of macronutrients. It's also called hunger signs or the deficiency symptoms. So I am telling you to kind of go with the figure number 12.9 to see the role of macro and micronutrients. So first of all, what does hunger sign means, or the hidden hunger? Okay, it's mentioned the hidden hunger. So deficiency of nutrients in the food, see very carefully, deficiency of the nutrients in the food is called hidden hunger. Clear? So now we will see the first one, that is name of the element, which is the carbon. Clear? So we are going to show the first element, that is carbon. The source of carbon is mainly from the atmosphere in the form of carbon dioxide. So source carbon dioxide of atmosphere, quantity is 45%. We are discussing about the macronutrients, remember carefully. Okay, so carbon quantity, it is 45%. Functions, they are the constituents of cellular components. Clear? Number 2 is the oxygen. Sources of oxygen, it is obtained as a byproduct of photosynthesis and also obtained from the atmosphere. So main source of oxygen is mainly from the process of photosynthesis and is also obtained from the atmosphere. The quantity is nearly 43%, and the function is also the chief constituents of cellular components. Then third one is hydrogen. The sources of hydrogen released from the water during photosynthesis. So during the process of photosynthesis, hydrogen is also being released from the water. Okay, so here you can see that during photosynthesis, oxygen and hydrogen are being released. The quantity of hydrogen is nearly 6%, and the function is that it's also the constituents of cellular components. So here is a simple idea about the sources, quantity, and the functioning of carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen. Now we'll talk about the most important one, that is nitrogen. Okay, the fourth one we are going to talk about is nitrogen. The sources of nitrogen. So nitrogen is mainly absorbed by the plant. Listen very carefully. Nitrogen is mainly absorbed by the plant is nitrate ions. Alright, so nitrogen is mainly absorbed by the plant is nitrate ion or ammonium ion. Clear? So it's often in the form of nitrate ion or nitrite, or in the form of ammonium ions or the ammonium salt. From the atmosphere, this nitrogen is absorbed by the help of the nitrogen fixing bacteria. Clear? So from the atmosphere, this nitrogen is absorbed by the help of nitrogen fixing bacteria like blue-green algae or cyanobacteria. urea. The role of nitrogen, quantity is nearly 1 to 3%. Now what is the function or the role of nitrogen? It is the constituents of protoplasm or the living matter. Okay, it is also occurs in amides, in amino acids, okay, in proteins, in purines, pyrimidines, clear, in NAD, NADP, clear. So they play an important role in protein synthesis also. Even the genetic material that we have mentioned, purine and pyrimidines, which are the part of genetic material DNA, RNA, nitrogen is present. So genetic material DNA and RNA also contain nitrogenous bases. Clear? So when we talk about DNA, we have got adenine, guanine, thymine and cytosine. These are the nitrogenous bases which are present in DNA. But when we talk about the nitrogenous bases in RNA, therefore thymine will be replaced by uracil in RNA. Okay, so nitrogen is also the essential part of the genetic material, that is DNA and RNA. But what are the symptoms, or let's say the hunger signs in plants which the plant shows in the deficiency of nitrogen? So first one, you can say that there will be yellowing of leaves. The leaves will turn yellowish in color, which is called chlorosis. CHLOROSIS, chlorosis. Okay, yellowing of leaf, and that is mainly due to the decrease in the chlorophyll content in the leaf. So chlorosis means the yellowing of the leaf, and is mainly caused due to the decrease of the chlorophyll content of the leaf. Okay, the symptoms. Next is first appearance in the mature leaf. Listen very carefully. The symptoms first appear in the mature leaves, then it goes into the young leaves. Nitrogen deficient plant shows purplish coloration or purple color due to the synthesis of anthocyanin. Listen very carefully. Alright, nitrogen deficiency plant shows the purple color formation due to the formation of anthocyanin in place of chlorophyll, because over here the plant is suffering from chlorosis, yellowing of leaf, due to the decrease in the content of chlorophyll. And why the content of the chlorophyll is decreasing? Due to the formation of anthocyanin in place of chlorophyll. Now the leaves are turning into purple color. Okay, other symptoms it includes like suppressed growth or the stunted growth. The plant cannot grow properly, the small leaf, early defoliation, that means shedding of flowers, shedding of leaf, and flowering delayed. Flower will be delayed in plant. It will be lately. So these are the deficiency symptoms in plants in case of nitrogen deficiency. So there will be a yellowing of leaf, which is called chlorosis. Okay, and this is mainly due to the decrease in the content of chlorophyll, and there will be formation of purple color due to the formation of anthocyanin. There will be student growth of the plant with shorter leaf or smaller leaf. There will be early defoliation, shedding of leaf also, and the flowering will be lately or will be delayed. So these are the deficiency symptoms of nitrogen in a plant. Now next one, we'll talk about the sulfur. Okay, now sulfur, first one, sources. Okay, so sulfur is mainly obtained from the soil in the form of divalent sulfate ions. So from the soil, sulfur is obtained in the form of divalent sulfate ion. Quantity is nearly about 0.05 to 1.5%. And what is the function or the role of sulfur? It is the constituent of amino acid cysteine and methionine. You can see over here. Okay, cysteine and methionine, they are the amino acids. So sulfur is a constituent of these two amino acids. Okay, and even the sulfur takes part in the synthesis of protein also, because amino acids will help in the synthesis of protein. Next one, we can say that it is present in coenzyme A. Okay, it is also present in thiamine. It also in biotin also. This sulfur will increase the root nodule formation, and also it will help in the development of root in case of leguminous plant. It's also essential for the synthesis of chlorophyll also. Okay, and it is the constituents of ferredoxin and some lipids of chloroplast. So this is the role or function of sulfur. Now let's talk about the deficiency symptoms or the hunger signs in the deficiency of sulfur. So simply there will be chlorosis, that is yellowing of leaves. Okay, there will be chlorosis, which will be followed by anthocyanin pigmentation. Okay, and it will appear first in the younger leaves, and there will be accumulation of starch, sucrose and soluble nitrogens. Stem becomes hard and woody, root system becomes extensive. So this is the hidden hunger signs or the deficiency symptoms of sulfur in plants. Next one, we will talk about phosphorus. Okay, it's in the page number 12.7. so let's see the source of phosphorus. Okay, so phosphorus is absorbed by the plant from the soil in the form of monovalent phosphate ions. So phosphorus is obtained by the plant from the soil in the form of phosphate ions. Okay, it's also obtained in acidic soils in the form of let's say like a bivalent phosphate ions, we have learned already. Then quantity generally from 0.05 to 1%. Functions or role of phosphorus is that it is one of the important constituents of nucleic acids, phospholipids, ATP, AMP, ADP, GTP. Okay, then we have got NADP. So these are the important constituents where phosphorus are present. Okay, it is also involved in metabolic process where protein are synthesized. Then it will help in photosynthesis, also in glycolysis, respiration and in fatty acid synthesis. So these are the general functions of phosphorus. Now what is the deficiency symptoms of phosphorus? So there will be stunted growth, the plant will not grow properly. There will be premature fall of leaf. Okay, failure of development of anthocyanin pigment. There will be brown necrotic areas which will appear on the leaf. Necrotic areas means there will be the appearance of a dead spot on the part of the surface of the leaf. Okay, that means the cells starts dying and we will have dead spots which is called the necrotic, because simply the death of the cell is called necrosis. Okay, so there will be the appearance of necrotic areas or the spot on the surface of the leaf. We can say the death of the cells. Petioles and the fruits. Restricted growth of root and shoot, poor development of vascular tissue, and there will be delayed flowering. So all these are the symptoms of phosphorus deficiency in plants. Next one is calcium. Calcium is absorbed from the soil in the form of divalent calcium ion. Okay, so calcium is obtained from the soil in the form of divalent calcium ions, and the important constituents of cell wall in the form of calcium pectate. Its concentration is nearly about 1 to 3.5%, and it plays an important role in lipid metabolism and controls the permeability of cell membrane also, and it is also required during the spindle formation, during cell divisions and in cell enlargement, and therefore in the growth of apical meristems. It plays important role in the translocation of carbohydrate and in the activation of different types of enzymes. This is the function of calcium. Now let's talk about the symptoms of calcium deficiency in plants. So there will be chlorosis, that is yellowing of leaf. Okay, measurement regions will be badly affected. Then there will be necrosis, the cells starts dying rapidly, and flowering of the plants will be suppressed, and there will be premature falling of flowers. This is the deficiency of calcium in case of the plants. Next one is potassium. Potassium is absorbed as potassium ion from the soil simply. Okay, so from the soil it will be absorbed in the form of potassium ion. Quantity will be from 0.3 to 6%. Then its role It plays an important role in protein synthesis. It plays an important role during photosynthesis, respiration, and also in the movement of stomata. That means the opening and the closing of stomata is also under the control of potassium ions. It also required in maintaining cellular organization, cell membrane permeability, and the growth of the cells. Now let's talk about the symptoms of potassium deficiency. So there will be stunted growth of the plant. Then you will find the term over here, mottled chlorosis. Okay. Chlorosis means yellowing of leaf, that we have learnt already. Now what does this mottled mean? Mottle is mainly a pattern of irregular marks. Okay, mottle, M-O-T-T-L-E, the mottle is mainly a pattern of irregular marks or the spots or the patches of different shades or colors present on the surface of the plant. One more time saying that, I'll note it down. Mottle is a pattern of irregular marks or spots or patches of different shades or color which are present on the surface of the plants. So there will be mottle chlorosis appearance, so patches of dead cells will start appearing on the surface of the leaf. Okay, there will be shriveling of leaves, decrease in apical dominance. Cereal crops develop weak stalks and their roots easily get infected with root rotting pathogens. The cereal plants easily bend to the ground by the wind or the rain. So these are the symptoms of potassium deficiency. So we learned that there is stunted growth, there will be mottled necrosis, which is a chlorosis followed by necrosis. Okay, where there will be shivering of the margin of tips of the leaves, and we learned that in case of cereals, it will lead to the deficiency of weak stalks and the plant will be with short internodes. Next one, we'll talk about the magnesium. Magnesium is obtained from the soil in the form of divalent magnesium ion. Quantity will be from 0.05 to 0.007%, 0.07%. Now, what is the role of this magnesium? Okay, so magnesium is an essential constituent of chlorophyll. So chlorophyll contain magnesium. So magnesium is an essential constituent of chlorophyll. It also acts as an activator of enzymes. Okay, especially those which are mainly concerned or involved in carbohydrate metabolism, and those which are involved in the synthesis of DNA and RNA, and also the essential components for the binding the components of ribosomes. This is the function or role of magnesium. Now, what is the symptoms of magnesium deficiency in a plant or deficiency symptoms? There will be intervenal chlorosis. So what do you mean by intervenal chlorosis? So write it down. It means when the veins are green, okay, it's very carefully, when the veins are green and the area between the veins are yellow. So when the area between the veins starts appearing yellow in color, it is called intervenal chlorosis. Okay, so yellowing of the leaves in case of older leaves, with accumulation of anthocyanin pigments, because the content of the chlorophyll keeps on decreasing and the concentration of anthocyanin keep on increasing. Tips and the margin of the leaves turn upward. There will inhibition of growth, necrosis occurs. That means there will be death of the cells of the leaf. Okay, so here we have finished about the macronutrients. We have discussed about their sources, quantity, role or functions, and their symptoms in case of their deficiency. Now we are going to talk about the micronutrients. So we are going to talk about the role and deficiency symptoms or the hunger signs of micronutrients. So first one we will talk about, okay, it's mentioned over here iron, but iron can be learned under the macronutrients also, but let's go through it. Okay, so iron sources is in the form of ferric iron. Okay, it's obtained from the soil in the form of ferric iron. It's mainly quantity about 1010 to 1500 parts per million. Its function role is that it plays an important role for the synthesis of chlorophylls and also for the formation of carotenoid pigment. Okay, the important constituents of cytochrome. It also activates a number of enzymes. Okay, and it is an important constituent of protein also, which is involved in transfer of electrons also. Symptoms or the deficiency symptoms of iron include that there will be chlorosis in younger leaf. Okay, That's called interveinal chlorosis also. The mature leaves remain unaffected. It inhibits chloroplast formation. The petal remains short and slender and may also develop necrosis. Clear? So this is the deficiency symptoms of iron. Next one, we'll talk about manganese. Manganese is obtained from the soil in the form of divalent magnesium cation. Clear? So manganese is obtained from the soil in the form of divalent manganese cation. Quantity is nearly from 5 to 1500 parts per million. ppm means parts per million. Role or the function of manganese is that it is an activator of number of enzymes which is involved in respiration and nitrogen metabolism. It activates arginase, carboxylase, okay, dehydrogenase. They are the type of enzyme. Symptoms: appearance of chlorotic and necrotic spots in the interveinal region of the leaf. Chlorosis and necrosis will start appearing in the leaf and the leaf becomes mottled, which I have learned already. Zinc. Zinc is obtained from the soil as a zinc ion. Quantity 3 to 150 parts per million. Functional role: it is essential for the synthesis of IAA. IAA means indole acetic acids, which are plant growth hormone. It is also important for the activation of several enzymes. Okay, it's also essential for the activation of enzymes like alcohol dehydrogenase, lactic acid dehydrogenase, glutamic acid dehydrogenase, and carboxypeptidase. So these enzymes are activated in the presence of zinc. Now let's talk about the symptoms of zinc deficiency. So there will be stunted growth or there will decreased growth of the plant. There will be interveinal chlorosis. There will be reduction in the size of the internodes. Okay, then there will be mottled leaf conditions. Then it also leads to a particular disease. Kindly go to page number 12.8 and know the term little leaf and mottled leaf. That means there will be a condition called mottled leaf, and at the same time it also results in little leaf. LITTNA. Little leaf means there will be the formation of interveinal chlorosis, which is called the little leaf. Okay, next one is boron. Boron is absorbed as borate ions from the soil. Quantity is nearly 2 to 75 parts per million. Functional role: it is required for the carbohydrate translocations, uptake and utilization of calcium ion, pollen germination, membrane functioning, cell elongation, and cell differentiation. This is the functioning or the role of boron. Symptoms: it results in the failure of root tips to elongate. So they are the stems and the root apices. Okay, leaves become thick, curled and brittle. Flower production will be reduced greatly. Then it causes hard rot of beets, drought rot of apples, stem crack of celery, water core of turnip, and browning of cauliflower. So these are the different diseases or symptoms in deficiency of boron. Next one is copper. Copper is obtained from the soil as the cupric ions, CuPrHs, cupric ions. Quantity is nearly 2 to 75 parts per million. Role or the function of copper is that it is the component of several enzymes. Okay, copper is the component of several enzymes. It is present in several enzymes and is also involved in oxidation reduction reactions and play an important role in plant metabolism. Symptoms of copper deficiency includes there will be reduction of carbon dioxide absorption in the plants. Young leaves exhibit necrosis at the tip. So there will be necrosis in the young leaves at the tip and along the margins. Exanthema in citrus tree. Now what does exanthema means? Okay, what is symptom of exanthema? Write it down. Exanthema, in exanthema, they will attack the root. See that carefully. In exanthema, they attack the roots and produces harmful substances. It causes the yield of gum, GUMS, gums. Okay, it produces the yield of gums on the bark and affect the fruit bearing capacity of the plant in case of exanthema in citrus tree. So in citrus tree, if they are suffering from exanthema, then there will be production of gums on the bark and the fruit bearing capacity of the citrus tree will decrease. Okay, and there will be reclamation disease in cereals and legumes. Now reclamation disease. Now what does reclamation disease means? Reclamation disease means chlorotic leaf tips and failure to set seed. Okay, reclamation means the chlorotic leaf tips, the leaf starts showing the chlorosis and the plant will fail to produce this seed. That is called reclamation disease. Okay, next one is molybdenum. Molybdenum is obtained by the plant in the form of molybdate ions, molybdate. Okay, so molybdenum is obtained by the plant from the soil in the form of molybdate ions. It is obtained from the plant, or let's say its main function, it's in nitrogen metabolism of plant because it activates nitrate reductase and play important role in nitrogen metabolism. It also take part in phosphorus and ascorbic acid metabolism in plants. Now, what are the symptoms of molybdenum deficiency? There will be mottling, we have already mottled leaf, and necrosis, which will occur first in the older leaf, then it goes to the younger leaf. Okay, then in cauliflower, the expansion of the leaf lamina is suppressed, resulting in the whiptail, WHIP. Now, what does whiptail disease means? Whiptail means is mainly the disorder of the leaf. There will be appearance of chlorotic leaf margins in the young leaf. Okay. Then it also causes abscission, ABSCISSION, abscission of flowers. Abscission means shedding of flowers. So these are the deficiency symptoms of molybdenum. And last one is chlorine. Chlorine is mainly absorbed in the form of chloride ions by the plant from the soil. Okay. Quantity is about 100 to 300 parts per million. Role of function: with sodium ion and potassium ion, it helps in maintaining the solute concentration and anion cation balance in the cell. Clear? And it is required in cell division in both the leaves and the root. So that it helps in transfer of electrons. Okay. Symptoms of chlorine deficiency is that the plant deficient in chlorine will show wilted leaves, stunted growth, and there will be reduced flowering and fruiting. So here we have finished the role and deficiency symptoms or hunger signs of macronutrients and micronutrients, and kindly go through the table number 12.4 also. Okay. Now next one, what does mineral toxicity means? Okay, it's in the page number 12.11, mineral toxicity. Okay, so higher dose of micronutrients, they become toxic, which are already in difference between macro and micronutrients also. Okay, so a tissue concentration that reduces dry matter of the tissue by 10%. One more time, a tissue concentration that will reduce the dry matter of the tissue by 10% is called critical toxicity level. Clear? However, this level varies for different micronutrients. So what is critical toxicity level means? When a tissue concentration reduces the dry matter of the tissue by 10%, that is called critical toxicity level, and this particular level will vary, okay, according to the plants. So for the same micronutrient, the critical toxicity level varies from plant to plant. So here you can see that the critical toxicity level will vary from plant to plant. So manganese could be toxic to soybean at what concentration? Above 600 microgram per gram, while for sunflower it becomes toxic beyond 5300 per gram, microgram per gram. So here you can see that the critical toxicity level is different from plant to plant. Clear? Okay, now these particular elements are very, very essential, because in their absence or in their presence, the plants can suffer from different types of diseases, which we have done already in deficiency symptoms. So it said that it is also possible that toxicity symptoms could actually be the deficiency of some other nutrients also. Okay. For example, toxicity symptoms of manganese are brown spots surrounded by chlorotic veins, Excess of manganese causes reduction in uptake of magnesium and iron, prevention of binding of magnesium with enzyme, and inhibition of calcium translocation to suit apex. So toxicity symptoms of manganese are due to the combined deficiency symptoms of iron, manganese, and calcium. Clear? Okay. Now, what do you mean by deficiency symptoms of the essential elements? So the concentration of the essential elements below which plant growth is retarded. That the concentration of the essential elements below which the plant growth will be stopped, will retarded, is called critical concentration. And the element when present below the critical concentration is said to be deficient element. Okay. So I have said that these particular elements, okay, when they are absent in a plant, then there will be morphological changes in the plant. The plant undergo changes, they will show the certain symptoms in the plant which are called deficiency symptoms, which we have done already. Okay, so few of the symptoms we are going to see. First one is chlorosis, loss of chlorophyll leading to yellowing leaf, which is caused by deficiency elements like nitrogen, potassium, manganese, sulfur, iron, okay, manganese, zinc, and molybdenum. Then necrosis is the death of the tissues or the cell, particularly leaf tissues, due to deficiency of calcium, magnesium, copper, and potassium. Then we have got inhibition of cell divisions, where there will be no cell divisions due to lack or low level of nitrogen, potassium, and sulfur, and also molybdenum. Then there will be delayed flowering, which with that the low concentration of elements like nitrogen, okay, sulfur, molybdenum, delays flowering in plants also. So this much for today's class. In the next class we will begin with the metabolism of nitrogen, or you can say the nitrogen nutrition. So see you in next class. Thank you.